This is Gibraltar Today. Are you thinking of buying a property in 2025? Or maybe you're looking for a new rental? We're going to talk property now with Aidan Montero of Savills. Good afternoon, Aidan.
Jonathan, afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well. Yourself?
Good, thank you. It's good to be joining you here again.
How's January been for the Gibraltar housing market?
It's actually been a very busy start. There's three real sticking points at the moment, which are really driving our market, and that's a combination of a slow fall of interest rates, which gives those first-time buyers and even buyers looking to upgrade within the prime and super prime sector confidence. There's also the sticking point, which is actually a positive point for Gibraltar as a jurisdiction, which is the Labour budget announcement in October in the UK has seen a number of families, retirees, and even high net individuals really look at Gibraltar as a jurisdiction and think, right, where can we move to?
So people who are unhappy with changes that Labour has made,
Correct,
looking to relocate,
yes,
maybe looking at Gibraltar.
of course. Yeah, and for many different reasons. I mean, Gibraltar offers a very safe place to live in. The government offer from state school to medical, etc. A lot to those families. But then we've also seen the other segment of the market, the prime and super prime segment, really pick up over the last sort of Q3 and Q4 of 2024 has really seen an uplift in what is today the strongest segment of the market, which is prime and super prime,
So
for families relocating from the UK.
What are prime and super prime?
So I like to look at the market as a 4-tier market. We have the low and the medium, and that would be a combination of restricted housing, 50/50 government housing, and entry level. We then have the
So those are the lower prices.
Yes, yeah. We then have the second tier of the market, which is your medium to high, which ranges from an entry level of around 350,000 on 1 bedrooms up to about 700,000 or 800,000 on 3-bedroom apartments with basic amenities, and then we have the prime, which starts at approximately $1 million up to about $2.5 million, and then super prime from 2.5 upwards.
Not that many in the super prime, but those other sort of TV dream homes.
Yeah, I mean, considering that a year ago we were having this similar conversation, we have had those sticking points, which today still remain, which is the lack of confidence in the markets, which really fall down to our treaty, which yes should have, of course, an impact, but also the biggest impact it will have is that our jurisdiction needs to be able to give confidence to people locally, internationally,
To plan ahead and know what's coming.
Of course, there's many segments within the finance sector which need to be in the know, no? And so when people have a lack of confidence, there's a slower volume of transaction. The markets begin to soften. So we're still at a strong buyer's market.
Because not that many properties are being sold.
Correct. Yes, of course. That's really what leads into
relative to there's a bit of a bottleneck, no? Like property sales have slowed down, and maybe when we get an announcement on a treaty or the absence of a treaty, that should sort of release.
Yeah, it should. I mean, I don't envision. And our MD Sammy Armstrong and I, obviously, we really study statistics and the market. And so we don't necessarily envision a huge upward trend in prices. So what happened in 2021, 22, which was that we saw a very, very strong seller's market and an upward trend of about 30 to 50% in prices, which we knew that wasn't sustainable. We don't necessarily see that happening, but we saw in 2024 an alignment and correction of pricing, which actually today we can say that we've seen the market dip at approximately 7 to 10%, predominantly within the prime segment of the market.
So that's the, what did you
million
say,
range.
Between 700 and a million?
Yeah, the million range is today our strongest segment of the market.
And that's dipped by
approximately
7%?
5
to
about 7-10%, yeah.
And what does that mean? That the what you would have expected to sell for, say, £1 million is selling for 7% less?
Approximately.
Yeah. Okay. And what What about, like, you mentioned at the lower end, the sort of government housing. We've got Hassan Centenary Terraces being finished and people moving in. What's the impact for that on the market?
It's had two impacts. It's had a very positive impact for locals, which once again, particularly young families and young people which want to continue to live in Gibraltar, have been able to move into their homes. But it also has had an impact on the local restricted market, the existing stock. So the existing stock that was built between, say, the 80s onwards, where we've seen that, of course, by having new product on offer, so by having Hassan Centenary, the launch of Bob Belisa, etc., we've seen a soften of prices there. So that is unfortunately the downfall of having new product available. But of course, as a jurisdiction, we are growing.
That's an impact on prices, but it's good because there are more people,
of course,
in homes.
Exactly. Yeah. But but of course, you've got happy sellers and you've got very unhappy sellers at the same time. So it's a good combination to have. But of course, that is really why it's important to actually look at Gibraltar and think, because of its restricted housing, because of its 50-50 housing, we have those 4 tiers of the market. So Gibraltar, generally, when you look at it and think, right, how's the property market doing, you need to break it down into different segments. You can't just look at it as an overall. Okay. Because, of course, as a low tax jurisdiction, which we are, and we had in Q3 and Q4 of last year, 2024, we had the relocation of not relocation. We had the introduction of having 2 new gaming companies join us here on the Rock, and of course we house and we're the headquarters for many of these huge gaming companies, which have a huge impact in our rental stock, particularly on studio 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, smaller self-contained apartments. We have had, again, that combination of rights. So if interest rates are high for the lower segment of the market, those people are actually then locking in a 12-month rental, a longer lease. So the rental market becomes stronger. Then we've also had that influx of actually, right, so we're not relocating. We're actually, we have these new 2 gaming companies coming into Gib. And so we need to relocate all these people from different jurisdictions, and that of course has a knock-on effect on pricing. So it's a particularly strong rental market,
and a strong market means lots of movement in the rental market.
Yeah, we've had a lot of movement within the rental market, and again,
does that push the rental prices up a bit?
Correct. Yeah, particularly again between the prime and super prime segment, a lot of locals will actually have born and bred in Gibraltar, of course. But a lot of locals will actually say, Aidan, who are these tenants? I see these properties on the website for £5,000, £6,000, £8,000. Who would pay that sort of money? Well, actually, these are our tenants. A month.
A month. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, but these are the people that we're relocating. So actually, yes, it's
so
very
those
important.
Are executive level. Gaming company.
You're looking at C-level employees which come over with their families, which want to live in Gibraltar, which have to live in Gibraltar as well.
And C-level, you mean like chief technical officer, chief executive officer,
and obviously with the limited amount of inventory that we have when it comes down to offerings on prime and super prime, the demand becomes particularly strong for these penthouses, these large lateral apartments and houses.
All right, and if we look ahead to 2025, what developments are we expecting to be finished in Gibraltar generally, and what might the impact of those completions be?
So if we start from sort of north to south, on the north district and sort of Devil's Tower Road, we're seeing the what is soon to be the completion of City Homes. Really an investor's product there, an apart hotel type of environment. Which is great because Gibraltar needs it. All our hotels are always, I say always, but particularly at high capacity, which is excellent. We have a very strong short let market as well. But we're also seeing the completion of the last phase of North Gorge coming up very soon as well. The completion of the last phase of Buena Vista Park Villas as well. But we're also seeing the launch of many other developments which still haven't gone to planning, which are in the early stages of going to outline planning. But of course, it ties in with the treaty.
Yeah,
And the
that
confidence that
uncertainty.
exactly.
But
yes.
in a way, I suppose, we could talk longer, Aidan, but we're out of time. But in a way, the fact that all of these developments continue to be invested in shows that there is still a significant amount of confidence in Gibraltar. No, even though there is a lot of uncertainty around the treaty.
Yeah.
But our conversation to be continued.
Yes.
Aidan Montero of Savills, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
This is Gibraltar Today. Just before we let you go, Aidan, price of chocolate going up. Are you a chocolate fan?
I am. Very much so.
And if chocolate becomes more expensive, will you eat less of it this year, or do you think you'd be happy to pay a bit more?
I'll probably pay a little bit more, but actually, Jonathan, estate agency fees haven't gone up in our jurisdiction. They're at 5% in Spain. They're at 3%, 2.5%, 3% in the UK. So maybe our rates have to go up, actually, because they haven't gone up.
To be able to afford the chocolate.
Of course.
Right. I like what you did there. Brought it back to housing. Aidan, thanks again.